Are we live?
I think so. How do I see if there's anybody here?
I don't know. Someone let us know if we're live.
Yeah, bear with us if this is a little rocky. This is our first one.
Yeah. Let's see.
Well, I see us like on yours.
Oh, okay, awesome. So we're live. Yay.
Okay, cool.
Hey, everyone. Are the comments up?
I'm going to pull this up on a separate window so it might echo for a minute.
Okay, you can actually mute it. I have mine muted.
So it looks like when I go on yours, Trisha says hi, but it's not showing up on.
Oh, there it is, live chat. Okay, I see it. Hi. Hey, Trisha.
Wait, which screen are you seeing this on?
Okay, so go to YouTube and go to my video that says live.
Okay.
Do you see where it says live chat in the right upper quadrant?
Yeah, but I thought I would be able to see that on our video here.
I don't think so. I think that's just you and me.
Yes, we're troubleshooting, Trisha.
Yes.
Okay. So I guess we'll just have to have that on separate channels.
Yeah. Okay. How can we tell? Oh, 3 watching. Does that include us?
I assume so.
Awesome. Okay, Hannah, do you want to start us off?
So my name is Hannah. I'm from TheRainyReader. We are on Gabby's channel right now. And our first book that we picked for our first live show is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. And well, I think both of us kind of decided like this would be a good one to do because it's so popular and we would like love to get into this one. However, like I rated this a 3 out of 5 stars. What did you end up rating it?
Yeah, I think I gave it like a 3.5 out of 5 stars because I did enjoy the ending. It definitely redeemed itself for me a little bit. So I don't know. I didn't enjoy the first like 400 pages as much as I did the last like 100.
If you guys are joining us, like this is going to be a very spoilery live show. So this has 500 pages in it. So to get through 400 pages of this book without getting like what you went for is very frustrating.
Yeah. Okay, someone else gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. Julie. Hi, Julie. And then you said you gave it a 3.5 as well. Awesome. Okay, so I feel like we're all maybe on the same page.
Okay. Oh yeah, and we did want to throw out there that if you like this far more than we did, kudos to you, but we're not dogging you if this is like one of your favorite books. So don't take any offense if we didn't like your book.
Yeah. I think so. I guess we should say why maybe we gave it a 3, or do we want to do our December really quick, or wait till maybe more people join?
Let's throw out our December, then if people ask, we can always bring it back up.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so because I know Trisha, you asked in one of the Goodreads, and I was like, I know you have this book.
So our December book of the month is going to be The Glass Spare. I am super excited for this because this sounds very Throne of Glassy to me, and I'm like here for that. Like I'm ready.
Yes, definitely.
And I think it's going to be really vastly different from The Night Circus too, which is going to be exciting to see how we think about those two different
Yeah, definitely.
ways.
We're going from like adult magical realism to like young adult. I don't know, is this high fantasy or urban fantasy? It sounds high fantasy.
It's actually, I think, plotted as a romantic fiction book.
Really? Oh, okay.
I know, right?
So it's not like in its own world?
I think it's just I mean, it's a magical realism, but it's plotted as a romance.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay. Yeah, so I feel like, yeah, we're really excited. Yeah, Trisha, definitely, because it was the Owl Crate. The second I saw you guys unbox this, I was like, oh, we should definitely do this book. Oh, yay, Julie. Okay, I hope you're able to join us. Okay. So
I know, I'm so excited. I think this one's going to go a lot better than the Night Circus did.
I agree, just completely vastly different. So I guess let's say maybe, wait, you're both talking about different books? Are we?
Wait, what?
It says, Trisha mentioned that we're talking about different books. Are we lagging? I'm confused. Oh, okay, okay.
Oh.
Okay. I was like, wait, I thought, what do you, okay, never mind. Okay.
That makes way more sense. Okay, so
I thought we were talking about like different books for December, and I'm like, no, it's the same title.
Okay, yes, I'm with you here. So I think this is a fantasy book, but this one was a romantic fiction novel.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yes. Okay, perfect. Okay, so do we want to say why, like why we rated it? So now we said we rated it a 3 out of 5 stars or 3.5. Hannah, do you want to tell us why?
I want to be clued in as the reader, and that was my biggest thing, was I was confused through like almost all of this book until the very end, which at the very end it like stops jumping around, which I'm like, thank you.
Yeah.
And like that's why I enjoyed the last like 100 pages, is because it stopped jumping around, so I knew what the heck was going on. We finally got some answers. I kind of wish that this book was flipped, so we would have got the information first, and as much as I hate like reminiscent storylines, I would have rather known what was going on in the game at first, and then like seen how it was playing out, like kind of remembering if it was going to go in this timeline. Like I would have rather had it flipped than the way that it was set up in this book.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. That was probably one of my biggest things too, is just not knowing. Like, I like when the reader doesn't know, because obviously we gotta have to keep some mystery of the book. You know, you want to have that suspense and like that wanting to keep turning the page and not knowing exactly what's going to happen next. But I feel like we didn't know enough. And by the time we were finally getting answers, there was maybe 100 pages left, and it wrapped up really quickly for me too. I feel like I kind of
totally.
Yeah, like it was. So I marked a few places, but there were like places at the end, towards the end, where there was like a problem, kind of like the whole thing with the cauldron and like Bailey, and it's like, well, why is Bailey chosen? And then like literally the paragraph later, Celia says, you weren't chosen because you're the chosen one. You just happen to be at the right place at the right time. Like, it's like the whole book is full of no answers, and then all of a sudden we have like everything flooded.
Yep. I know, like, it felt like the author was like, so if you guys didn't know, Night Circus was a NaNoWriMo book, which was really cool that it ended up being our November book club.
Yeah.
But with that mindset, the whole like NaNoWriMo thing is you write 50,000 words in a month. So that's it. I mean, after reading the book and thinking back about that, it felt very fitting for this to be a NaNoWriMo book, because it's like she loved the ambiance and she loved the setting that she was creating, and she was so into her world, but there was no plot line, and that was what was really missing, is like she was so engrossed in her own world, and then she just was like, I'm gonna make this a book and we're gonna do this. Like it just was like there was no direction at the beginning, I think, and it just fell so flat for me.
Yeah.
Trisha, I also loved Bailey. Bailey was one of my favorites. Same with Julie.
I noticed Julie said that too. Yeah. At first, when I read his chapter, because I think that's like one of the first chapters where it really jumps so much. We're what, in like 18, what are some of the first? We're like in the 1880s, and then all of a sudden we jump to like 1902 or something. And I'm like, who's this Bailey guy? And then he became my favorite character.
So I was the same way, where I was like, how is this tying in with Celia and Marco? Like, I don't know how this even makes sense. Like, I didn't get the two stories connecting till later. But the Bailey thing, like, he was one of my favorites. And I think the reason why he was one of my favorites is because we got the most backstory on him. Like, Celia, we saw what happened to her, but we didn't really get to know her as a character. We just saw things happening to her. Yeah. So like when Bailey came in, we got to see like his internal struggles about like the whole college thing and staying at home. And that was like what really made me connect to him as a character. That's why he was one of my favorites.
Yeah. And his sister being like a total brat, which is one of the reasons why he like didn't feel bad about leaving. So I feel like that was definitely another like,
well-rounded
trait that kind of, we got to see what drove him to his actions versus like some of the other characters. And back to like what you were saying about Celia and Marco, their relationship seemed really insta-love, but I do feel like she explained the reason it is insta-love because she was saying like the rings, it kind of binds them together. So you have that like pull to one another. Just, gosh, what's her name? The contortionist, she was saying that. So she explained why it's insta-love. So I'm not like upset about it, but I wanted to see more. Like, I loved their romance, and we got maybe like a total of maybe 20 pages. Like, really, when you see them together, how many pages are they actually together?
Seriously. And I was watching some review videos before getting on here, and one point that was really brought up that was nice, like it was a well-driven point, was that in this time period, people didn't spend that much time together before they fell in love or that they got married or were committed to each other. So I will give them that. But true. It's also like, it still wasn't good. Like, that doesn't excuse it. Like, people still back then still fell in love, but it just, they didn't spend that much time together. There was no really concrete thing connecting them besides the magic that they shared, which is cool. But it was just like, you don't even, like, for how passionate they were saying about each other, it just was like, where the heck did that come from?
Yeah. For a split second, I thought Isabel was Celia. Like, when I first learned Isabel, I wrote a tabby. I was like, is Isabel Celia? Because there's like a mention when Marco asks Isabel, what's your name? And she says it. There's a line that says, I don't believe her or something like that. It was saying like, I'm not sure that's what her name is, but I'll go with it. And I'm like, does she,
yeah.
Did you not get that vibe? I got that vibe.
I was like totally in the same boat with that, because I was like, how are these two stories connecting? Like, I didn't understand for the longest time why we were jumping back and forth. Like, that was like, there's got to be a connecting factor that's tying them in with Celia. And I was like, I didn't realize like that Poppet and Celia like actually knew each other. And so I was like going through that, and I was like, oh, that makes so much sense like later in the book, because I was so confused why we kept jumping back and forth. I was like, why should I care?
Yeah.
Story.
So those of you who, speaking of like, I guess a lot of us are talking about like time jumps, who listened to the audiobook, because I read it, I didn't listen to the audiobook. So I guess I was able to see the time jumps because it says, at the top, like the times, like the dates. But does it specify in the audiobook that it's, May, March, like, you're in Munich of 1885?
So it does in the audiobook. I listened to the audiobook, and the audiobook is narrated by Jim Dale, which was great because he's just like a fantastic, he also does Harry Potter. He's just a fantastic like audiobook person. But so it says it, but like when you're listening to it, it's like your mind kind of grazes over, at least for me, your mind just grazes over like the settings, and you're just into the story and you're trying to like focus on the story. Yeah. So I just like grazed over that part, and I didn't realize like I heard like the London September, but I didn't realize that the year was jumping back and forth. So then I was like,
Yeah, so you didn't realize that, like, I think it kind of like clicked when the twins were born that they had red hair, and then Bailey met a girl with red hair. And I was like, wait a second. Okay, we're really jumping now.
Yeah, seriously. There was a huge jump with time.
Yeah, definitely.
Poppet was one of also my favorite characters too. Like I really enjoyed her scenes.
Even though we didn't get as much, like, where were the parents? I don't think we ever met their parents.
I never even thought about that, but that totally, like, where were they?
That's because she mentions it, I think one time towards the end, something about like their parents are doing something. And I was like, we never see them. And I don't know. That just got me thinking of like how many people are actually in the circus, because they're all supposed to be connected, but are they all, I don't know, because the ticket lady, she should have like a part. I mean, that's just, I don't understand that.
Yeah.
Like,
also, like, if they're immortal, are they allowed to fraternize with people outside the circus, or is it all like, how long is this thing really going on? Like, there is no definitive urgency to end this competition because it could go on forever.
Right.
So it's like, does it start to be inbreeding eventually? Like, are they allowed to fraternize with people outside of the circus, or how does that work?
I never even thought about that.
Are they immortal? Yeah, they're all immortal because they're not aging.
Oh, I thought they were just aging really slowly.
Oh, maybe that is it. Does anybody know? I thought they all stopped aging, but that makes sense that they're all aging really slowly. I think Marco does say that somewhere in here.
Yeah, I think Celia is the one that she's keeping them from aging. No, is it Celia or is it Marco?
I thought it was Marco.
Okay. Marco is just keeping them from aging, or he's making them age a lot slower. And then, wait, no one had been born besides the twins. Okay. Was it because the twins were already like ready to be born before the circus started? And like, was it? No, maybe.
And they're the only ones that age.
Yeah.
Too.
So that they could grow up. Okay, Julie thinks they're immortal too.
Either way, they're not getting very far with their age, whether they're immortal or they're just aging super, super slow.
Yeah, something like that. Because once the once the circus kind of like breaks, they mention that a lot of the characters, or a lot of like the people, they look a lot older than they are.
True, so maybe that speeds it up. So maybe they are just aging really, really slow.
Yeah. Yeah. Gosh, I know there's a part that says, I don't know. I honestly don't know if they're immortal or not.
Well, anyways, are they allowed to fraternize with people outside of the circus, or can you only fraternize with people in the circus? Well, I know like Bailey meets Poppet, and Bailey's technically outside of it, but it's like, was it allowed because they were the aging, so they weren't like totally into it, or?
Maybe. I like Trisha, so the twins are like Renesmee from Twilight, aging until they hit a certain age.
Yes!
I love that! Oh, what about Bailey aging? That's a good question. Does that mean he stops aging now that he's the proprietor?
I would assume so. I would assume that they were like, had to go into it.
Yeah. I don't know. How old are they?
When, like, they would have to get,
they're like 16, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, like, they would have to like get a new person to hold the thing at the end.
Yeah. So I guess like, I don't know. That, and I don't know. They recast the spell. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so now he's into it.
Okay, that makes more sense. Does anyone have any questions?
I just like to say that like Marco and Celia were kind of the low point of this book, which was strange because the whole story went around it, and I just was so like, not into their story. Like, I like the idea of the circus, but I didn't find, like, because we didn't have the backstory on them, because we didn't really see them interacting that much, their love story didn't resonate with me. Like, nothing about them was compelling to me. Like, I like that they were doing the magic, but it was like, if I was in the story, I would be like, what the heck is going on? Like, I want the rules. Like, I would be a lot more driven to figure out what the heck was going on that I was, like, stuck in. And I felt like they were just doing things, and they're like, I guess I'm playing this game, and they would just go along with it. And I'm like, why is no one being, like, pissed that they are having to deal with this and, like, figure something out?
That's true. I didn't even think about that. I don't know. I really liked Marco and Celia, but
So what did you like about them then?
I think I liked Celia. I think I was just attached to Celia because she's the first character we kind of meet. So I liked her just because we met her from the beginning and we kind of like at least got to see her grow a little bit. And then I liked Marco because I don't know, I liked them for some reason, but I would say Bailey and Poppet are definitely my favorites.
I wish that the story was more around Bailey and Poppet than, like, I wish it was from Bailey and Poppet's point of view.
Yeah.
Than the, like, omniscient, like, third person.
Yeah. Agreed.
Because that way we could see, like, we could still experience a circus and we could still, like, see Marco and Celia interacting, because let's be real, we didn't really see Celia and Marco interacting anyways that much, so it wouldn't have made a difference if it wasn't from, like, the omniscient point of view.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, actually, speaking of third person, okay, the excerpts that are, like, scattered throughout, let's see if I can find them. Like the ones where you can tell it's talking about the circus, like it says like anticipation, and then they're usually at the beginning. Is that Widget telling a story? Because at the end when Mr. AH or Alexander or whatever is saying, tell me a story, tell me your story or the circus story or whatever, he says, okay, the circus arrives without warning. This is on page 508. And I noticed that the very, very first line in anticipation is the circus arrives without warning.
Oh my god, full circle! I totally didn't catch that. That makes his book a little better.
Yeah.
It still doesn't make up for the fact that there was hardly any plot, though.
Yeah.
It bothers me.
Bailey talking about all of like because he never addresses them by name. He just always talks about like the contortionist and the people that stand still and the illusionist, but he never actually like says their name. So he's telling a story. I didn't catch that until the end. Did anyone else catch that?
Oh, Trisha asked the contortionist, did you think she was with evil intent because of her jealousy?
Yes.
Yes, I agree.
I didn't like her from the beginning.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I think that this would have been a really cool either TV show or movie because of the very little plot line. I think as readers, we have to be a lot more engrossed in the story and be more involved to continue reading. And I think that's, Gabby kind of talked about, like, if it wasn't for our book club, we might have been DNF'd. But with a movie, like, you're watching it flash and you're watching like the flashy parts of it so much more that in movies you kind of expect that. Books, you're expecting more meat. So I feel like with a movie, like, this is a lot of flashy parts and not a lot of meat, and that's kind of what movies are compared to books. So I think it would have been much more suited for the big screen versus a book.
Yeah, and with like all the special effects with movies, you can have a smaller plot line and you can expand it because of like the special effects. Versus here, when you're reading it, it's like, okay, I need more words.
Yes. And I agree with Trisha. I wish it would have been a little more developed because then we could have seen some backstory and that would totally add more meat to it if we had like a villain-esque area besides the dads being like a villain for putting them in this situation.
Right. And okay, going back, speaking of dads and going back to being immortal, Alexander, he is immortal though, right? Because he was saying he's like 1,000 years old.
Yeah.
Okay.
That or he's just aging super, super slow.
Okay. Okay. Oh no. Okay. Is anybody else lagging?
I'm going to try to refresh it and see if that helps.
Uh-oh. I think we lost Oh, no. There she is.
Maybe that helped.
That help? That's a good idea. Okay.
Did that help?
Okay, so I guess
Trisha, I'm not really lagging, but can't type fast.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Do we have any other questions or thoughts?
What was your favorite scene?
Let's see.
Mine was definitely, even though they weren't my favorite characters, mine was definitely the Marco and Celia meeting scene with the umbrella in the rain. Like,
yes,
that tugged at my heartstrings, and I loved that. And like, very on brand for me as well. Like, I loved the rain part, and I really wish that there was an umbrella that was like, that was real, and we could have that.
I love that. I also like the dinner scene with Marco and Celia. I like that a lot.
I really liked her audition scene too.
Yes, I did too. And then I have to say, probably, I don't know, the scenes that stand out the most to me, honestly, are Poppet and Bailey like going through the maze.
Yes, that was so creepy.
Yeah, agreed. I was getting like Harry Potter vibes, and I'm like, oh my god, something's gonna jump out at them. Something's gonna go wrong.
I also really liked, like, for the acts and the tents and stuff, I really liked the kittens because obviously I'm a crazy cat lady, but I really liked that there was kittens in there and they were like trained and stuff. Also, with that, did the kittens never age as well? Or are they because they're part of underneath the spell that it, like, they're aging really slowly too?
Good point.
Or how do they come into it? These are things that I think about while I'm reading.
I don't know about that because they're given to them when they're little. I'm assuming the kittens that are doing the tricks are the same ones that they're given to them at that midnight dinner.
Yeah.
So, okay, Julie's caught up now. Awesome. Okay.
Yay!
Awesome. Okay.
Can we go back to Bailey?
Yes, I love Bailey.
Okay. So with him having the most backstory, that was great. But the ending, I felt like so short-sighted. Like, he had so much backstory and so much like going through it, and then at the end they just like blew through it and it was like, okay, we've got to stop. Like, I feel like in my mindset, she was getting to like the end of November and was like, we got to wrap this thing up.
I was thinking, she's like, okay, I've hit 50,000 roars.
Yes, and just like stopping. She's like, okay, we're done now.
Right. Okay, so speaking of Bailey, one of my favorite quotes in this book is the fact that it's like, you're not the chosen one, you just happen to be at the right place at the right time. But I feel like because Poppet had a vision about him running the circus, or like about him being in the circus, that it negates that comment, and he technically is the chosen one now. So I wish maybe she hadn't had a vision of him joining the circus and he had just decided to do it on his own, and then he happened to be at the right place at the right time.
Sorry, I got distracted by Trisha's comment. Dan is one of our regulars.
A face without freckles is like a night without stars.
He's told me that before.
That's so funny. Move to the city. There's no stars. I mean, of course there are stars, but we can't see them. I mean, I live in Houston, so it's massive.
So I agree with you about the chosen one comment. He was definitely destined for this, and he like put his like he grew up and was like his heart was already in the circus, and he was wanted to so much be a part of it that it like felt like he already was because his heart was already there. So it just like full circle for Bailey that he was finally being able to be a part of it, and was like no question, like there was a little hesitation at the end, but there was like so much less hesitation about him joining the circus than there was about him either going to college or staying at home. So it like just totally made sense for him to be a part of this, but I didn't like that they put like you're not special, and I didn't like that, like, because he is like,
yeah,
I don't know, that just bothered me.
Yeah, and like, because that's one of my favorite tropes is the chosen one. I love it. I live for it. And I mean, I did like the quote when she said, you know, because you don't get that often. It's always like someone is born to be destined. You know, you're destined to do something. And so I like that she said, no, you happen to be at the right place at the right time. But then I was like, if that were true, he wouldn't have, you know, Poppet wouldn't have had the vision, and then I don't know, he wouldn't have already had that like unexplainable pull to the circus. And he had
I agree.
Before he met Poppet. So we can't really use her as kind of an excuse.
Let's talk about the battle, the whole
that was thing, like so anticlimactic. What? I said it was so anticlimactic.
Oh my goodness, yes. Not to mention, like, the back of the book says, like, a duel between two young magicians, a fierce competition. No.
Oh, yeah.
Not at all. No. What?
No.
Like, there's nothing pushing them to, like, they talk about, like, the want to end this and stuff, but why? Like, we never find out, like, why can't they just continue on doing what they're doing? Like, they don't have to make, like, there's not necessarily a need to make forward movement in the game, let alone what we know what is a forward movement. So it's like, why did they have to, like, sacrifice one over the other or their end to the competition? Like, why can't they just continue on doing this? Like, it doesn't talk about, like, the cost of magic or anything, like, weighing down on them, or, you know, like, with both of them balancing, it made it totally, like, livable that they could just deal with this and continue on with it. So I was like, what is, like, the whole premise of this book? Nothing is pushing it forward. Nothing is making it continue going. And I was so let down with that.
Yeah, and they kept, like, describing the game as, like, a chess, right? Like, a game of chess. And I'm like, in a game of chess, you lose your pawn, you lose players in a game of chess. We lost one person, and that's just because that was, like, a freak accident, wrong place at the wrong time. What was her name? Tara, right? Tara?
Mm-hmm.
So she got hit by a train. But everything else, I'm like, how is this like a game of chess? Like, what is so bad about this game except that the fact that, like, they can't leave the circus. But in the end, they really can't leave the circus.
Also, the knife thrower, too.
Yeah.
Or not the knife thrower, the guy who got the clockmaker.
Yeah.
Got stabbed.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was like, it was so unentertaining for me. Like, the whole premise of the duel and everything, like, they really should have made more concrete rules for the contest. One, for the characters. Two, for the like progression of the story. And three, so like the reader knows what the heck is going on, like, and can tell what's going on. Instead, it's just like these two people are in a circus making up all the stuff, and that's it. Like, there wasn't really a game.
Right. I don't know. Yeah, I didn't see
it. Kind of felt like there was, like, the game was like another undercurrent of it that was just like, how am I going to wrap this up? I'm going to throw this game in there and not really expand on it, because then I'll have a definitive cutoff point at the end. Yeah. It just was not fully fleshed out, in my opinion.
Yeah, I didn't understand. And we still don't know the rules. Like, what are the rules?
Yeah. Or what is like the score besides it being like an endurance challenge? We don't really know, like, well, this bit of magic was much more impressive than this bit of magic. Like, why didn't we know what was better, you know?
Yeah, who's the judge? So I guess there's no judge. It's when whoever dies, the one who's alive is the winner. But like,
Yeah.
why would they die? What would they die of? Is it just like the circus becomes too overbearing and they like...
See, there's the plot hole, is it doesn't talk about the cost of magic of holding that magic in or expelling it either. So it's like, if we would have known that, or if we would have known another challenge duo besides the one that we found out about that they committed suicide with, that we would have got a better idea of what the storyline entails, or like what the game entails, and what the cost of it is, or how someone wins, or, you know, like, I wish we would have had another set of characters if we weren't going to know about the game.
Right, I agree. And like, I'm not gonna give spoilers away, but okay, it reminded me a lot of like Throne of Glass. You know, like the scene in the third book where the big battle in Air of Fire with the gates in Air of Fire, and like how the magic is like taking a toll on her.
Yes.
I wanted to see something like that, like physically taking a toll. You know?
Yeah.
Like, people almost die. Yeah. So, I'm not, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, yes. That took me a minute to get there, but I know what you're talking about.
I don't want to say any names or characters or anything, but like, I feel like that series does such a great job at showing you have to be careful with your magic. Otherwise, if you go too deep into it, like, there are repercussions. And I feel like in this one, it barely skimmed the surface. Like, once Marco and Celia were in that like in-between state and she was shaking and she was having trouble controlling everything, we like skimmed the surface of it a little bit, of like, okay, she can't really hold on to all this power anymore. Like, her magic isn't strong enough to hold everything together. But that's it. Like, we didn't get anything else. Like, she didn't pass out. She didn't like...
Yes, I wanted to see physical repercussions of it.
Exactly. So I'm like, how do they die? How are they supposed to die? Is it supposed to be like a freak accident and then, oh, the duel is over?
Right? This is why, like, it would have been so much cooler to get a second set of Nether characters, is to see that.
Yeah. Oh, we have 7 people watching. Oh, 6. Well, okay, so if you've just joined, we're just still talking about the Night Circus.
But our next book of the month, if you want to join us for next book, oh.
The Glass Fair by Lauren. Is it Di Stefano?
Yeah.
Oh, Julie, nothing compares with the Throne of Glass magic. No, I agree.
Same.
We are like die-hard Throne of Glass fans over here.
Yes.
So
I want to address the ghost aspect of things. Like, what? I was so confused. I was like, is he actually dead? Is he I didn't realize, like, he was like in another sort of realm that could have, like, what? Like, that was very poorly explained.
Mm-hmm.
Trisha says, but for the magic system, it would have been interesting to know is everyone capable of using and controlling? Yes. Alexander just picked Marco basically at random, and he happened to be able to use magic. Yes. So with that, let's talk about the 2 different styles of like how they taught magic. So I think it's like you have to be taught how to use magic. At least that's how I took it. So I think they talk about Alexander talking about how he was like very more like structured, and it wasn't like so crazy as Celia's dad, and it was just like, yeah. So like he's like crazy, like cutting off fingers and being a lot more brutal with his tactics. And I think Alexander was a lot more like being able to teach him things. So I think as long, like, you have to know how magic is, but like you have to teach someone to know there. So I think you can teach anybody, but I think you have to be taught how to use it. I don't know how far that goes back, but you know what I mean?
That's a good point, actually. And especially like towards the end when Bailey is taking over the circus, oh, let's see if I think I marked it. But Marco is like, oh, okay, hold on. Marco's like, is that something I'll be able to, no, Bailey asked if that's something he'll be able to do as far as doing magic. And then Marco says, I can teach you.
Yes.
Do you remember that quote? Mm-hmm. Okay. So that makes me wonder, like, once again, is Bailey the chosen one, or can anyone in this type of like world, granted it's supposed to be our world because it's magical realism, can everyone have the power to use magic? Is it not magic? Is it just really like using elements like in this world to manipulate? I really don't know.
I think that you have to be taught, but I think it's anybody because like Trisha said, like Marco was basically chosen at random to do this. So I think it's anybody. You just have to be able to be the teacher. It's on the teacher, not necessarily on the student.
Okay.
Can we also talk about the competition, like going back to teaching, like what this entire thing started because you guys were arguing over which way was better to teach people. Like that's why this started. Like I just was very unsatisfied with the beginning.
Yes, I was hoping there was gonna be like some like big thing that like
between the two people.
Because like this can't be the like. Obviously, this game has been going on for a while now, especially since like the contortionist, she lost her dual partner. So it's, I mean, this has been going on for a while. So why, there's got to be something bigger driving this like massive thing that keeps progressing. I don't know.
Yes. Yeah, like there needed to be a better motivation behind the start of this game than just being like, no, I'm right, listen to me. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like I wanted it to be way more epic than it actually was.
Agreed. So Julie, no, he's not dead. They say he's dead because he's no longer in like a physical form, but then Celia mentions later to Marco that he's actually not dead. He's just like he's no longer has a physical form, I guess. Yeah. He's like in between. He's like in the in between. I don't know. And then someone asked about the Glass Spare really quick. It's supposed to be. I think it's a young adult like fantasy. So it's very similar to it. Basically, we follow like our main character. She is the fourth daughter of a king, and she's being kept hidden because she is his spy. And she has like magical powers where if she touches anything, they turn into gemstones. So it's kind of like a Throne of Glass meets Shatter Me series. So just because someone asked about the Glass Sphere really quick. So
there's also supposed to be like this dark prince that decides what to do with her powers. And I talked about this in my wrap up that's not yet, or my TBR that's not yet up yet. But I said like, I really hope that this is like a coming of age, like girl empowering herself and be like, listen, like this is my shit that I'm dealing with. Like this is I'm choosing how I'm using this type of thing. I really want that to be like a girl empowerment story.
Yeah. I have high hopes for this one. So let's hope.
I know. I'm really hoping that I'm not going into it with high expectations and then being severely let down.
I think because this one, like, I mean, this book was released in what? I mentioned it in one of my videos. I thought it was released just a few years ago, but this came out in 2012 and people are still like reading it and talking about it. So I have very high expectations for it. It's not like this came out last year.
So with that, I think it's so crazy how popular it is. And I get the hype. It is very beautifully written. It's very atmospheric. Like you feel like you're in the story.
And poetic. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. But it's like, I don't think people are looking at it actually critically. And if you look at it, like what really is the plot line?
Exactly. I think I mentioned this in my vlog video, if you're into more maybe like magical realism without any sort of like answers. You're okay with like it being whimsical and poetic and description. You're okay with not a lot of dialogue. I think you'd really enjoy it. But if you're very, very plot driven and you need your characters to have, like, you need a reason for everything, then I don't think you're going to enjoy it as much.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, so can we talk about the tree?
That was really
cool. And the tree in Marco's book, leather-bound book, that confused me.
So I think, are you talking about like where he had all of the locks of hair and stuff?
Yes, and their names.
So I think that was all because of everybody in the book was part of his spell and under his spell, and so that way he could like protect them and influence them. I think that was what the book was about.
So that's not the same as the wishing tree?
I didn't think so. Maybe it is. Does anybody know?
Light a candle with the wishing tree?
I thought it was two different elements.
Okay. Okay.
So
I hope you join us with the glass fair.
Yes. So I think going back with the whole ghost aspect and if people are actually dead. So at the very end, I think that's where, so Marco and Celia aren't actually dead, right? They're just in that other world together, right?
Yeah, but I think instead of her dad, they actually have something grounding them. So they've got like something that keeps them from like shifting in and out, where they can like actually, because you know how Marco says, I can touch things.
Yeah.
So I think she did it right, whereas her dad did it wrong.
So, I mean, again, with the game aspect, like, it all tied up with a very nice bow, in my opinion. Like, they were all, like, so worried about what was going to happen, and they were so surrounding around this game. And then there really wasn't a game. There wasn't really any driving force to end the game. And then at the end, they ended the game, but nothing bad happened, like, sort of.
Right.
It just was like,
yeah,
I've wasted 500 pages on this.
Like, this sounds really bad, and usually I never say this ever. Like, I like my endings to be happy. Like,
same, but it didn't make sense for this.
If I read a book, if I am invested, like, okay, going back to Throne of Glass, the 7th book comes out next year. I'm terrified. I am terrified because I am just so invested in the characters. But I don't think it would have been that bad if one of the 2 characters had died.
Because it makes sense for them to die. Like, yeah, I don't want, like, suicidal. Like, I thought that was a little much to be in, like, I'm going to kill myself. No, I'm going to kill myself. Well, I was like, come on. Like, you guys can create an entire world, and this is all you came up with is you're both going to try to kill each other before, or kill each other, or kill yourself before the other kills himself. Like,
I was like, well, what's the incentive? Why stop it?
Yes, exactly. Like, there was no really driving end to end the game. So it was like, why didn't you guys just continue on going? And there was no talk about how the magic was draining them. So it was like,
yeah,
why not draw it out?
Yeah, I kind of had wished that maybe like when the contortionist did that spell, that maybe it had like rebounded or something and she would have died. And then there would have been like more, I don't know, like something. Like we had 2 character deaths and they were just like, for a split second, when Tara dies, I like completely missed it. It was just like she didn't see the train, and then 50 pages left, like
right, just gets right over it.
I know, and then 50 pages later, it's like we're at Tara's funeral. I was like, wait a second, she died? What? Where is it?
That's how vital she was in the story.
Yeah. So like, yeah, page 234. She's talking to someone. I'm like, who in the world is she talking to? And then it says she does not see the train. And I'm thinking like she misses the train. Like
right.
The train is gone. And then when's her funeral? What page is her funeral on? It's like what What page is it on? It's got to be further.
As Gabby is looking through this, I want to address the comment that Trisha just left. She said it would have been interesting if Celia hadn't been allowed to keep hold of Marco and bring him along when she left the physical plane.
Yeah.
I totally agree. That would have been an amazing ending, because then they would both have been, like, they were so worried about what they were going to sacrifice. That would have been such a good way to not kill off the characters, but still have, like, that sacrifice that they couldn't be together. And it would also would have been like there was a definitive winner in it, but there wasn't also, like, he could be a part of the circus but wasn't controlling it anymore, so it would have been a little happier of ending. I totally agree with that. I wish that they would have taken that route. Also, then Celia could have been, like, with her father somewhat, and, like, they could have worked out their issues, because they had a lot of issues.
Yeah. I can't.
Julie said I didn't understand the purpose of Tara's death, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
Right, like, just like Gabby said, like, she didn't even notice she was gone.
Yeah. It's like, where is it? I can't find it. But it's like further back. It's definitely, we get her death on page 234, and it's not until like 50 pages later that we're at like her funeral, and I'm like, wait a second, what? And then the clockmaker either. Like, what was the point? Well, no, I can see his, because he's the one that actually started everything. Like the raver, like, you know. So, was it, Oh,
you're lagging. Hold on.
Am I? Is that better?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah. But I didn't understand Frederick's death. I mean, I get it a little bit, but I wish that, like, I wish his death would have had more consequences. Like, I wish maybe, like, both of their deaths, the circus would have died a little bit.
Yes, or, like, where the clock would have broken down or something, or, like, something, the physical.
Oh, the unraveling of the circus. Oh, it did? Is that when things started, like, going haywire? I totally missed that. Yeah, Trisha says that the clockmaker's death had to show the unraveling of the circus. Because the circus doesn't start to unravel until his, like, death anniversary. Because it's not until, because he died, and then the big battle thing, isn't that when, that was like the year after he had died?
Yeah, because they were talking about where they were going. They're like, oh, it's the clockmaker's anniversary of his death tonight. Yeah. The reverse or whatever. Yeah. We talk about, like, I would love to be a part of the reverse and, like, going around and trying to figure out where they're at. Like, that's an awesome fandom. I love that they have that.
I love that we got to see Bailey do that. Yeah. So, I don't know. And I wish that, like, I don't know. I just wish we would have had a little bit more. I wouldn't have mind maybe having just not so much description and just more dialogue.
Yes. So Trisha put something in the Goodreads group that said something about, like, not sacrificing the plot for the setting. And I am totally with that. I think that I would have rather sacrificed a little bit of the amazing scene setting to get more of the plot line.
Yeah.
Or just make it longer, like make it 2 books. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah. Yeah, granted,
I'd rather have a more fleshed out character and plot line than wrapping it up fast.
Yeah, granted, I don't think I would have read a sequel, but for example, like you're talking about, like I have on page like 69 for description of the dinner parties. This is where we learn about the midnight dinners. It is seriously 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It is like 9 pages of just describing the midnight dinner, and there is barely any dialogue. I can probably count the dialogue. There's
very little dialogue in general in this story.
Three. There's like barely any dialogue in 9 pages of the Midnight Dinners. I'm getting.
I think that's the same thing where it was like, it's the author really got caught up in her own world and kind of forgot where she was going with it. So it was like the plot line was the afterthought.
Yeah. But I mean, I did enjoy. I love the idea of it. I really did. I mean, I'm glad I read it. I really am. But I think, once again, we're going in circles. Personally, for me, I'm more of a plot-driven. I need action. I need suspense.
I agree.
Trisha said something about the circus falls apart when Isabel pulled apart her bundle. Yes, can we talk about that? It had the tarot card, and then it had her shawl. It had Marco's hat, Celia's handkerchief, and a tarot card. I don't understand. Like, was that what was keeping the circus like healthy?
I think that was a part of it. So I don't think that she was necessarily controlling all of it, but I think that was like a thread in the giant woven part of the entire spell, that like one thread just like unraveled. Like that's what started the unraveling part of it. Okay. But it wasn't like that was the controlling factor. And I may be wrong, but that's what I took away from it.
No, I agree. That was like, the second she did that, the clockmaker died.
Yes.
So
I think that was like the kickoff point.
Yeah, because she was protecting the circus from anything bad happening, right? And the second she undid everything, the clockmaker died inside the circus.
And in my personal opinion,
what?
I think if Celia and Marco would have been like on top of their game, they could have like fixed that.
I agree.
Because
why did she bring him back?
Yeah, they could have like they manipulated the entire world. Why couldn't they just like recast a spell over what she did?
Yeah. And I mean, I hate that like we're left, well, not hate, but I wish that we had known a little bit more that Isabel was like part of it, because to me, Isabel was annoying. She was annoying. She annoyed me so much throughout this book. And then finally we're like, oh, she's important. Well, I wish I would have known.
She just felt kind of like the afterthought type of thing. Like, this is where I was saying, like, I wish it would have been read backwards, because if I would have known, like, how much it was important, like, it would have made a lot more sense and would have been more enjoyable.
Yeah, which it kind of is, with Widget being the one telling the story, kind of.
Yes.
Which I love.
I think that this book would be an excellent candidate to reread it now that you know what was going on, because I think you'll enjoy it a lot more this time. But the first time through is so brutal, in my opinion. Like, I agree. I'd be very interested to know how many people rate this book a 5 out of 5 stars, and if they've read it more than once to get that rating, or if that's their initial rating.
That's a good point. Because no, I agree. If I reread it now, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I never saw that.
Caught a lot more.
Yeah. And I mean, you have to think about it, like, creatively, this book to me is probably a 5 out of 5 stars, or like at least 4. It's very creative. Just the elements that she puts in it. But yeah, rereading it, I bet I'd probably give it a higher rating.
See, that's why I think it'd be great as a movie, is because this would be fantastic to see her, like, see them create. And that way you could kind of like see the sparks between them, because I really felt like the love scenes and like the romance aspect of this book was so flat that I think if we were seeing it, it would have been a lot more interesting.
Yeah, you could have like music, and like the cameras could be turning, and you can see, you know, just like in Beauty and the Beast, where like the Beast and Belle are like dancing, You know, like if you read that on paper, you're like, oh, whatever. But
Yeah,
like
exactly.
when you see it, it's like, you know, very magical and stuff. Like I feel like we could have gotten a really, really amazing scene if, like in a movie, when they're at the ball and they're like dancing.
I agree.
Yeah. I had a Goodreads page. Oh, do you feel sorry for those who were being used in the game? Wait. Oh, who's Mr. Barris again? He's the engineer, right?
I don't remember him.
Mr. Barris. I'm on like a discussion thread.
I agree, Trisha. She asked why was the romance necessary? I totally agree. I don't think that the romance was necessary at all. Nor was it organic. Like that's why it didn't make sense to me, so I just didn't care about it. Like
yeah.
Like I liked the meetings, like I liked that there was some scenes, but I just felt like it needed more development to get that extreme. I think like that was just like an aftermath.
Yeah.
Especially because this is plotted as a romance, and I'm like, what?
Yes. At first, and that's why I thought Isabel was Celia, because I was like, okay, they're meeting right away. Like, that's why I really thought Isabel for the longest time was Celia in disguise. And I thought they were like finally starting to have a romance. And then she was gonna like, oh, by the way, I'm not really who you think I am. And no, Isabel is really Isabel.
Yep.
So I was like, wait a second, when do they meet? They meet like halfway through the book. That's not a romance book.
No. Also, I think Trisha's right. I think he is the guy who started the circus.
No, that's Chandaresh or whatever his name is.
So who's that guy then?
I think he's the engineer. Isn't he? Yeah. Is it Chandaresh? Chandaresh? The guy who does the midnight dinners, he's the proprietor.
Gotcha.
Mr. Barris is, I think he's the engineer with the carousel. He engineered the carousel with what's her name? Celia.
Julie, I'm totally with you. I wasn't connected to like hardly any of the characters besides for the exception of Bailey and Poppet because I liked them.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
when Bailey went to go, finally decided that he was gonna like make it to the circus, and then he finally told his sister off. I was like, yes. He was like, go marry someone to take care of you. I was like, yes. And then he like
that was such a good scene.
Yeah, and then he sees that like the field is empty. My heart, I was like, no.
Oh, I agree. That was heartbreaking.
Yeah, I was like, that's the.
I was like, you gotta be kidding me. He's finally ready. Like he's gonna make it.
I know. I'm like, that is the real love story. Like, pop in.
See, that's why I wish it would have followed them instead of Celia and Marco. I'm eventually gonna get you on my side, Gabby.
I still like them though, but yeah, not as much as I think I enjoyed. And then I really enjoyed like Widget too, so much.
Yes, yeah.
Do you have your kitties?
Oh yeah. I was like, he's been walking around here.
I saw a cattail. Okay, so none of us feel bad for any of. I think feel bad for the. I'm sorry.
I think that would have changed completely if there was more character development. I think all of like the beginnings were there, it just wasn't fully done, and so it was like missing that element. Otherwise, I think if there's more character development, like everybody would love it, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I think I felt bad for the guy who created the circus because it was his idea. He created it, and he was being used by Celia's dad and Marco's like the two instructors, and like the part where he like finds Marco's book in his room, and he's like really drunk and he's just so sad. I don't know. It made me feel, I felt really bad for him. And then when Poppet goes and helps him create the blueprints to the museum, which actually, that reminds me, I have a question to that. Poppet says that she can't give him back his memories. What does that mean?
Because Marco takes it from him, because Marco walks in on him looking at the book, and he was like, you're not going to remember any of this part. So his memories are stripped from him.
But is it just that one scene where he finds this stuff, or is it like of the whole circus? No, it can't be of the whole circus.
I think it's like all, like a good chunk of his memories, I think, of him being in, like, he knows of the circus, but he doesn't have like all of the memories of the inner working.
Okay. Because I was like, what memories is she talking about?
That like made me sad, but also like he doesn't have his memories, so he doesn't know what he's missing type of thing.
Oh my God, Trisha, I totally missed that. I thought he was being manipulated by the two instructors, but it was Marco that was manipulating him.
Mm-hmm.
Because Marco created the setting, right?
Yeah, and the book too.
Oh.
Like, Marco was the one who walked in on him looking at the book.
Okay. So was it Marco who created the circus? He's the one who chose the setting, correct? Didn't they say you choose the setting?
I know that the fathers didn't choose the setting because they kept referring back to, I'm surprised that they are allowing such a public setting and stuff like that. So I think Marco might have been the one to set it up.
Doesn't he say, like, I found someone who can actually, like, I thought he said, like, you choose the setting because my daughter will win.
Yeah, wait.
No?
So it was either Alexander or Marco.
So Hector tells Alexander, I am doing this because I have a player that can beat anyone you choose to put against her, and because times have changed enough to make it interesting. I thought it might be more fun to Okay, I thought it might be more fun to leave a bit of leeway as far as venue is concerned, an element of surprise, if you will. I'm acquainted with a theatrical producer in London who should be game for staging the unusual. I shall drop a few hints when the time comes, and I am certain he will come up with something appropriate. Better to have it on neutral ground, though I thought you might appreciate starting things on your side of the pond. The gentleman's name, and it's Lefebvre, something like that. So they manipulated. So Hector manipulated Chandresh, or whatever his name is, to create the circus as the venue.
Gotcha.
Okay. Yeah. So Marco seems to have changed his memory a lot over the years of various reasons. Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. Okay. So that makes sense. See, like rereading it, I feel like we would get a lot more answers now.
Definitely. But I also don't know if I want to put myself through rereading this thing.
I'm not rereading it, no. No, sorry. I mean, I enjoyed it, but like, honestly, I read 2 books in November. This one and Hunting Prince Dracula. Like, 2 books only. So this book took me from November 16th to December 1st.
I have learned my lesson because I just recently finished it yesterday too, that I'm going to start with The Glass Spare this month so I can get it out of the way.
I was thinking, yeah, I know. I was like doing my vlogs and I was like, oh my gosh, our live show's in 2 days. I'm halfway through the book.
And it was very slow. Like it
oh my gosh, it was so slow at first.
It was slow moving, and it just like, I don't have the patience for that. Like I want to get, and it kind of never really got moving to the very, very end. And it was like, then it was rushed. And I'm like, Where was this like 200 pages ago?
Yeah, the entire time I was reading this book, I was like, I feel like I'm back in college reading a book to analyze. Like, this would be an amazing book for like a summer reading, or in a literature class in college, because there's so much that you can analyze with, and it's more like you
so
said,
many ties to classical works too.
Exactly. So I just, that's what I felt like. I felt like I was reading a book back in college, when books that we had to analyze that aren't very plot driven, and they're more like whimsical and mysterious and stuff. So, but yeah, colleges, put this on your syllabus. You'll have a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
So, does anyone have any other questions? Did we kind of discuss everything, Hannah, that you had?
I think so.
I did love the French aspect, though.
The what?
The French aspect.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I do want to mention the cover, though. They couldn't have chosen a more perfect cover.
I agree.
Like, I will say, Erin Morgenstern got so lucky with her cover. It is gorgeous. And, like, the black and the red. And I love how the entire time I was like, this circus is black and white. Where's the red? I see the red on the cover. Where's the red? And then finally we get like part of the red. I was like, yes, finally. I love it.
I really like that we have the birds in her dress on the cover too.
Oh, yeah. And then his umbrella.
Yep.
Yeah. So I have to say, the cover is really amazing. So look, black and white stripes.
Nice.
That was not on purpose, by the way. Oh, did their ring, did it go away once they stopped the game? It was considered a
I think it was forever scarred on them.
Okay. I don't remember. So, speaking of which, since when can Marco bind?
Like, oh, I know, right?
Like,
they talked about how impressive that she was, that she could do that in the beginning, that Marco couldn't, and then now he could. Maybe it was just his evolution of magic through the story.
Yeah, because he like binds Bailey to the circus with the ring.
Yeah.
The scar on his palm. And I'm like, wait. Since when can Marco bind? Yeah. And then he says he like wished for her in the wishing tree. And I was like, oh, when?
Right? Where was that
at? I think maybe if some pieces had been in first person, I think that would have made the book really interesting. If we went between third person and then actually like first person in some of this, like, I know a lot of books don't do that, but
I agree. I think that would have made it really interesting.
I think that would have been really interesting because, I mean, we're already jumping years, so we might as well jump point of views. So I think that would have been like, because if we can feel what Marco is feeling and what Celia is feeling, like actually like be in their heads, I think we could have connected more, especially.
And that would have made like
dialogue. Sorry.
Yes, it would have made leaps and bounds of the character development that we were severely lacking too.
Yeah, because we're in their head, so we know exactly what they're thinking. So yeah. I think that would have been really cool to have like it skip to first person point of view with Marco and Celia's and some of the other players or characters. We would have gotten, because like we said, there's just so much. There's not a lot of dialogue that this way we could have gotten more. So
I do want to throw out before we end our live show. So like we've talked about before, The Glass Bear is going to be our book for next month. when would you guys like to do live shows? Do you guys want it on the weekends? Do you want it on like weekdays? Like what works out better for you guys? Leave a comment and let us know.
So you mean like killer? I like that question, Hannah. Yeah, do you guys prefer, and then do you guys prefer going into the next month, like how we're going into December? Let's see. Trisha said, I don't understand why Marco just didn't end the game super early on before he really got to know Celia. So, but I guess that has to do with the fact that one has to die. Yeah, so.
I do like that they said that while like she was like, I'm already married, and she like felt like she was already connected to this person, which I thought was a little much because you were connected to the game. You fell in love with the game. You didn't, or not necessarily fall in love with the game, but you were attached to that. Like you weren't in love with him. I just didn't understand that part.
Wait, who's married?
No, like the ring that they've burned into her skin, Celia in the book says, oh, like I'm already married, and she like has that mark on her.
Oh.
She felt already connected to Marco even before she had met him.
Right.
And it was like that like sealed the instant love for me.
Yeah. And like the contortionist says that as well. She says like the second you're bound, you have love for each other. So
yeah.
Which, okay, I don't know. Don't even get me started on the contortionist. I didn't like her. I'm like, I don't know. What was the point of her story? I don't know. But okay, so we like weekends. Do we like at the end of the month or like mid-month? Also, I guess with December being the holidays, what do you guys prefer? Especially because I know Christmas is going to be,
and New Year.
Yeah, and people with family and stuff. So, okay. What day is Christmas on this year? Okay, Christmas is on a Monday. So do we want to? Okay, so that Saturday is New Year's is the 30th, the Saturday of December. Do we just want to go into January? Like, do we want to do January 6th, or is that too far into January?
What do you guys think? I'd be okay with either one.
Yeah, me too. Saturdays are pretty, actually, I work on December 30th, I'm pretty sure. Let me see. I think I work December 30th. No, I don't. December 30th, I'm off. So, I mean, we could do December 30th, Hannah, if your schedule, that could be.
Well, I can just request it off.
What?
I can just request it off. That way I'll make sure I have it off.
Okay. So do we want to do maybe December 30th, possibly? And then we'll just change it if things change?
Let's plan for December 30th.
Okay.
And then
the 16th
join the Goodreads group.
Okay.
Join the Goodreads group just in case there's any last minute changes.
Yeah. I'll try and put it at the top and everything and create an event. But yeah, so far, yeah, I can do that. So I don't think, I'm not going out of town on the 30th because I work the 31st. So.
Okay. So 30th, we'll do it like same time.
Yeah, we can do it earlier too. Today we had to do it at 8 because I work till 6. So on the 30th I have off, so we could do it anytime. Yeah, is anyone?
Do you guys? Would you?
Is it like 11 o'clock at anyone's time right now?
Well, it's a Saturday. I figured like it's not gonna be too late.
That's true. Not most people don't have shift work, so.
So let's just put a pin in it for right now and do definitely December 30th, and then we'll let you guys know what time to show up.
Yeah, we'll do that. Perfect.
Well, this went surprisingly well. This went a lot smoother than I thought it was going to go.
I know. I was so worried. We were doing like a little quick test run to make sure we figured out how to do Google, like the YouTube stream. And we're like, how are we going to talk about this for an hour?
Meanwhile, an hour and a half has gone by.
I know, right? I know, right? I have to pack. We leave tomorrow for our cruise, and I haven't packed anything.
Go pack. Thank you guys so much for joining in. This has been a lot of fun, and I can't wait to read The Glass Spare next month.
Yes, thank you guys so much for watching. We really hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully next month we'll go. I think this went really smooth. Oh, thank you. You like my tree? Oh, Kevin. That's Kevin. That's my husband who just commented on that. He put it up right before the live show.
Is his like thing say, "Friends, I'm immortal"?
Frozen immortal.
Is that his?
Yeah. So, yep. That's so funny. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much.
All right, we will see you guys next month.
Okay, bye, everyone. Have a good night.
Bye.